This show is sponsored by APCW Wrestling Academy. Learn wrestling from WWE Hall of Famer Robert Gibson. If you're interested in becoming a professional wrestler, contact them at 770-871-5417 or online at apcwdouglasville@gmail.com. Also, buy Collar and Elbow brand. Save 10% on your next purchase by using our discount code WPNWrestle. That's WPNWrestle at checkout and get a discount on great collar and elbow products. All right, thank you guys for tuning in, downloading, or streaming wherever you're listening to this particular podcast episode. I appreciate it. But before the podcast kicks off, I just have to make one quick note about the interview. Generally speaking, especially on iTunes, this podcast is labeled as generally family friendly. There's not a lot of bad words or anything like that that goes around. However, in this particular interview, the language does get strong at certain points. So I want to be sure that I put that out there, even though that is labeled as family friendly on your download device, on your platform, wherever that happens to be, Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, etc., etc. Even though you may see it on there, there will be a time or two where a couple of F-bombs gets dropped. My guest got a little bit worked up, and she was letting it fly, and I certainly wasn't going to stop her because the interview was going well. But I want to warn you, the listener, in case you are listening with your children or something of that nature. All right, that is all the warning. So now on with the show.
You know, and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
The World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
The Wild Renaissance continues. And today on the podcast,
all right.
Yeah, we got a young lady who is better known to most of you as one half of the Asian Invasion. We're going to discuss her time with the company, that being WOW, Women of Wrestling, the original cast, that is. Her feelings towards the world of pro wrestling and why she stepped away, and a few things in between. So, ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, Lotus.
Woo! Hi.
How are you?
What's up? I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderful now that you're here. You know, we've...
All right, let's rock and roll.
Yeah, I've done a fair job of tracking you guys down. You know?
All right.
So, you know, and I guess we have to skip past some of the stuff because, you know, I've done a number of these now, and then I find that most of you guys have kind of come across WOW roughly the same way, but I don't want to skip over your introduction into the wrestling business. So, can you give me a recap as to how you came to be involved with WOW in the first place?
Okay, well, the ironic thing about the whole thing is when I was in elementary school, my girlfriends and I were tomboy, or I don't know what you call us, but we were like a cross between girly girl and tomboy. And we used to watch wrestling, especially Glow, on the weekends religiously. I recall I was in 5th grade. I was 10 years old, and my girlfriends and I, they can vouch for me. We used to watch Mount Fiji, Hollywood and Vine, and Big Bad Mama, and we used to watch them growing up wrestling. And I was a tomboy because I grew up with 2 older brothers, and we used to roughhouse, and we would mimic the moves on Glow, and I was just so intrigued because I never saw that other than Wonder Woman at that time. on TV. And that just planted a seed, and I was just intrigued with the whole female action hero. And I was always intrigued with, martial arts movies and Bruce Lee and all that jazz. And the epitome of that ultimate chick was like that hot, athletic, martial artist, athletic, badass chick.
Yeah.
So in that era, that whole image was all promoted, and WoW was actually the first glow before WoW was that paved the way, and I was so intrigued by it. Lo and behold, 20 years later, I'm auditioning for this role. I'm like, oh my God. And it wasn't even a major role where my agent submitted me. It was something very, I don't know how I even got in contact with. Maybe it was backstage.com. It was very minuscule, and I responded to the casting, and I got picked to show up and audition. So from what I heard back then it was like 1,200 girls tried out for it, and out of 1,200, I think like 300 or 400 got called in. We auditioned for it. We got a call back, and out of like 300-400 out of 1,200, I believe like 120 had potential. And then a few of us made it to boot camp, and then out of boot camp, like half of the chicks made it to, contract. And I'm like, wow, this is so awesome, because I grew up watching this. And it just, that's how I got into WoW. It was just like very ironic.
It was kismet, destiny.
It was. It was. I thought of it, but I didn't think of it. See what I'm saying? And it just came into fruition. I thought it was the biggest trip of my life.
Well, it must have been, because, here you are telling me that you basically went from watching what a lot of us consider the spiritual successor, let's call it, to WoW, because technically speaking, it's not the sister promotion, but it basically is, because you got the kind of same vibe. It's kind of the similar characters, and of course, you got the David McClain connection there. So, in large part, whether it's official or no, it is looked at as a kind of a spiritual successor to the program, and you were, naming off people, so clearly you were a fan, and lo and behold, you became one of them. You became a wild girl.
It was so surreal. It was just so surreal, and I'm just so happy I was part of it.
Yeah, WoW has its place. It had its place in the history of television / the history of pro wrestling. You managed to make the weight, or make the cut, I should say. I was just talking with another colleague of yours not all that long ago, Bronco Billy, and she was telling me about that very same thing.
Oh, I love her. She's my girl. I love her.
And now she also told me, and I came across a couple of pictures actually, that there were a few WoW girls that were, I'm assuming, were kind of picked, but never made it to TV. I guess it got down to the final cut. Do you recall anything like that? Because the only one that she remembers
Yeah. Even the girls at contract, there was like a handful, I think 4 or 5, maybe 4, that didn't make it to TV. Because we abruptly got canceled because of 9/11. Mm-hmm. We just started up, and there was a lot of potential, and then boom, 9/11 showed up. I'm like, oh my God, really? I thought it was like my dream, and then that happened. So yeah, there's a handful of the WoW girls who didn't make it on TV.
Well, that sucks. That's terrible.
Yeah, big time.
Because I don't know as those that listen out there, and I may put a couple, I may could have put a couple of these pictures out on the Facebook page, the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. A quick plug for me. If you haven't seen the pictures of some of these girls that never made it on, or I guess different versions of them, then this might be a treat for you because we got promotional pictures of, like I said, Koala Kate, which is a character that never made it
Yes.
onto television. I think there's a girl
Yep.
named Madison from what
Yep.
Bronco told me. There was actually another Bronco Billy before she assumed the role, and
Yep.
I want to say that there was another Hammer and Heather Steel before the young lady that took the role assumed it. So there was a lot of kind of
Yeah.
juggling of persona and character that was going on there before TV started to roll out.
Right. Right.
Uh, did I don't know how you perceived it being on your end of it, being involved in it. Was this more of an acting gig than it was wrestling, or was it more wrestling than acting? Or,
Well,
how would you describe it?
okay. I got to admit this to you. It was a casting call, so I have to agree with you that majority of the people that turned up it was an acting role with a little bit of like an athletic acting role with that one. So it just ended up being something more than we imagined. But yeah, initially it was more of an acting gig.
Mm-hmm.
So if that explains it, we didn't know it was to this level, but it was obviously catered to people who are girls who were into acting that was more athletic.
Okay. And the only thing that I can really equate it to, and I know nobody that's listening probably gonna know what I'm talking about, but hey, I look at a lot of documentaries. I wasn't born in the '60s. I just like the documentary on the monkeys. The only thing I can really equate it to is that TV show, The Monkeys, because you had a casting call for a group of guys who could play instruments and be musical, and then they formed a group, opposed to let's find a group and make a TV show about them. Is that makes sense? It sounds like that's what WoW was. It's like, let's find some athletic girls that will.
WoW wasn't, no. Yes, I kind of agree with you. It's so funny you actually mentioned the monkeys because I have a link with Mickey from the monkeys. Who was
Dolans?
a judge at one of the Hawaiian Tropics. Yeah, Dolans, exactly. So funny you brought that up because right when I was getting into WoW, I met him. He was a judge at Miss Hawaiian Tropics pageant that I was into because I was into modeling and acting back then.
Mm-hmm.
And right when I was getting into WoW, I actually met him. He was a judge, and there's a little thing going on where we're in Laughlin, and I don't want to say anything bad, but he was surrounded with a lot of beautiful girls, and he thought he was, Mr. Judge, and he was giving out money to gamble, and that money was like, I don't know, like $50 per person. I know it's just laughing. He wasn't the most impressed out of the bunch, but anyways, that's the monkey. But as far as WoW is concerned, I think that was intentional because prior to WoW, there was Glow, and David McLean brought back and revived Glow. So it wasn't just something random. Maybe as far as like luck, maybe it was equivalent to the monkeys. But yeah, it wasn't random. It was intentional because he had Glow prior to.
Oh yeah. No, I mean that, and if I say it random, maybe that would be a wrong choice of words. I guess I meant that more along the lines of the structure of how it was built in terms of casting. Because I mean, particularly today, because there's another variation of why that he's doing it. We'll get into that later. They've leaned more towards at least casting some wrestlers straight off the independents. Now they still get actors, and models that come in who have an athletic background, and they kind of mold them into that. But clearly, the casting of the roster has kind of changed a bit. Whereas in the what was that 2000 2001, where the first one was, it was almost all actors at the time, which just reminded me of what the Monkees was. They wanted somebody who had the skill set to do it, but weren't necessarily a group, and they just for, turned them into a group. But anyway, that's
I
not
see
here
where
nor
you're
there.
coming from. I see where you're coming from, but honestly, he was intentional about hiring actors because actors with athletic ability. So, it's not like if he just conjured this up and, wanted like a performance and just strictly hiring actors. No, it was imperative to him that he hired actors who were also athletic. Half the people were like in the stunt industry or professional cheerleading or whatnot. They were all athletic chicks, but he didn't just specifically hire actors. No, it was a combination of theatrics, athleticism, because he wanted to elevate the character's performance. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just about performance. He also wanted to elevate the character. He was very, very. I remember it was very important when he had a discussion with all of us that we sell our character. So apparently, just because you're athletic and you're a professional wrestler, if you're hired and you're put out in mainstream media on TV, doesn't mean you're going to be good at selling your character. So it was imperative that you had both qualities. Not only were you athletic, but you were also, had acting ability where you can sell your character. Because just being sporty does not mean that you're going to engage your fan base. Does that make sense?
It does, and that's fair enough.
Yes.
That's fair. And you bring up a good point there that I guess he was being kind of specific and making sure that there was some athleticism back there, and you brought up the fact that some of them had professional cheerleading backgrounds, stunt women, which I saw there was several of them. I think April was Riot. I think she was a stunt woman.
Yeah, yoga,
before.
Pilates. It was fitness models, right?
Okay, so I guess the natural question here would be. Your background, you already had the acting going on in there. So, did you have a sports background preceding going into WoW also, or were you just bound and determined, and your grit kind of carried you through?
Honestly, I didn't I wasn't a professional cheerleader or professional anything, but my background was hardcore tomboy. I grew up with two brothers. I grew up watching Glow. I was always getting into fights growing up. I was always physical, and I did dabble with cheerleading, martial arts, and gymnastics. But was I a professional? No. But did I have a passion for that background? Absolutely. So I don't know what you want to label me as, but I was a little bit crazy.
Well, I'm gonna label you determination and grit.
I told my character, yeah.
That's the label we're gonna slap on you.
I was an eclectic one.
Okay, fair enough. Now, the character Lotus. Where did she come from? Was that something that you walked into the door with, like, hey, this is what I want to play? Or did they just have a list of characters that they were just like, all right, look, you know what, we think you'll make a good Lotus, so here you are. How did that work out?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, tell me the story.
The character Lotus never existed.
Okay.
When David McLean brought up well and I wanted to pitch it. The main character really was Jade with no tag team partner. Bronco Billy, Terry, that
Terry
all-American chick. Becky the farmer's daughter. There is just a handful of all-American or, that stereotypical roles. Maybe like top 5 or 6.
Okay.
Everyone else was catered towards their individual specialty. Like, he had his main characters that he wanted to promote, and then everyone else probably impressed him and he personalized the character. But Lotus in particular did not exist. In fact, David wanted an antagonist part of Jade. Jade's the baby face, and he wanted a heel version of the Asian chick, right?
Okay.
Yin and yang. Okay, so there was no Lotus, there was no Asian invasion. Initially, I auditioned for Jade. I had no idea of anything else, but it just so happened a good friend of Dave, his assistant, ended up being Jade, which was my tag team partner.
Yes.
And initially, I was supposed to be her antagonist. So I was originally supposed to be Dragonfly, the heel version of Jade. But
okay.
Lo and behold, I don't know what kind of state I was in back then. He liked me a lot. We meshed. David was, I sold him on the Lotus thing. I just could not, at that time, little did everyone know I can easily be Dragonfly and the heel now. But at that moment, I was in a different state of mind. I was in that spiritual Zen state of mind at that time. And it was just difficult for me to play any antagonist.
Okay.
So I pitched the Lotus idea for him, and I pitched the tag team idea to him. So instead of Dragonfly, because I was just not comfortable selling Dragonfly as a heel at that time. Today, I would be Dragonfly in a heartbeat with my eyes closed. But at that time, I just couldn't sell that. I was not in that state.
Okay.
I just couldn't. So I told David my situation, and I pitched him on the tag team partner and Lotus, because the reason why I pitched in this tag team partnership was because at that time I just wanted, Asians were not very represented in Hollywood, and I felt like unity was a better focus to drive a crowd. So if I was just thinking in a business standpoint at that time, because I was a minority and Asians weren't, there's no Asian characters back then, and I thought rather splitting the fan base for this minority character, I'd rather unify it. And then he liked that idea, and he thought, what, worst case scenario, we could, down the storyline, we could always have you guys turn on each other and go with my original script. But
okay.
Lotus was created by me, and the tag team partner was conjured by me, and I pitched that to him, and he was sold.
Oh, all right. So we have now learned that.
Dragonfly. I was supposed to be Dragonfly.
So
heel.
So you had an entirely different character pitched to you, basically the yin to Jade's yang. You pitched Lotus, got Lotus, and essentially you were part of the creative of the tag team altogether.
Exactly, because I felt like it was a business determination for me, because at that time Asians weren't very represented. So I didn't want to split our fan base, and I thought we would be more successful if we unified first, and then maybe split off later.
That's a pretty good thing. I mean, especially considering the landscape of TV. I mean, I know some people would tend to believe that well, TV was pretty evolved even back in 2000, turn of the century, and all that stuff. But even then, representation, even now to some degree, that representation across the board becomes very difficult and hard to achieve. I mean, of course, the thing I always go back to is kind of Hollywood shuffle. If you're a black actor in Hollywood, the last thing that you want to be doing is playing the gangster and the pimp. But that's essentially what they have for you to do. So, in putting it in that perspective, not wanting to represent your culture negatively, I can understand why you would say, hey, why can't we just put this thing together? We have two positive role models out there instead of just one. So, I mean, that makes sense.
Well, it wasn't even about positive or negative.
Mm-hmm.
It really wasn't even about that. It was all about, look, the reality. Like, number one, I wasn't in that space. Like, I couldn't represent a heel at that time, which I could easily represent now. Because I wasn't really ready for public scrutiny. I just got into the entertainment industry. I don't want people to not like me as a heel. I was just a new actor, and I didn't want to handle any negativity. I'd rather represent a positive character versus a negative where the whole world hates me as a heel. Number one. And number two is also, look, we're a minority of minorities in Hollywood. Honestly, Asians, we are the minorities of minority in this country and also in Hollywood. But if you look at everything in a worldly perspective, we're probably the most populated. So it's kind of like a catch-22. But specifically in Hollywood, we are the minority of minority, and I didn't want to split our fan base in a business perspective.
All right. Outside of you pitching Lotus and pitching the tag team, did you have any further creative input as far as the direction of the team, the Asian Invasion? I mean, who picked the name? Let's start with that.
Oh, the Asian Invasion was my thing.
Okay.
Because I always felt like that was my thing. I've said that before, like in high school. I just felt like, throughout history, throughout entertainment industry, the different ethnic groups rise up and, have their moment. At that time, the Latin art, like J-Lo and whatnot, was hot. And I felt like, the blacks came up, the Latins came up, and next, what else was left? The Asians, right? So that's what I thought of the Asian Invasion. And I've been saying this even before a while.
Okay. So did you continue to have a hand in the creative as far as the storylines that you were taking part in, or once you did that, you just handed it over? It's okay, guys, I've given you Lotus, I've given you the tag team, I've given you the tag team name, here you go.
One thing about David, he had his direct way of doing things, and Selena Majors is a close, input for him. She has a huge deal to do with the storyline. David was open to suggestions, but not from everybody.
Okay.
Just a few had access to him. As far as storyline, and it's not like if we went out of our way and like, oh, I want to do this and we demanded storylines. No, there's just a few that he was, he probably was a little bit more fond than the others, and we just suggested a few things, a storyline or whatnot, and he incorporated it if we sold him on it. It was really simple as that. It wasn't. It wasn't anything like, like deep and serious, where you have to hire attorneys for the storylines and make sure it's not copywritten or anything like that. No, David is very down to earth and receptive. Like, once he likes you and he respects you, he's open to your feedback. And if you could sell him on your feedback and a pitch, he's open to it. How can you not be? You know, if someone suggests you something wonderful and you feel like, you know, it can be successful, why wouldn't you? So David was really down to earth and receptive to feedback, but it's not like if every single one of us had feedback or every single one of us demanded it. No, it was casual. It was spur of the moment. It was uncalculated, but maybe a little bit methodical.
Okay. Who handled writing the show week to week? I'm assuming Dave McClain oversaw it, but was he actually the head writer, or did he have a group of guys
No,
that's
we had
sitting there? Hmm?
Steve Blanche was the writer for Crow, and he was also the writer for WoW. I love Steve Blanche. He's an awesome guy, sweet man, but a lot of people complain because they said, like, he's stuck in the 80s. You know, the characters he portrays is bubblegum, 80s, outdated. But the guy who was sweet. But I can see where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a different generation. He was stuck in the glow generation.
Okay. Well, how did you feel that the Asian Invasion creative was? Did you think it could be handled better, or did you think that the characters of Jade and Lotus were handled just fine?
No, I was so frustrated from beginning to end.
Okay,
but
so,
I can't, you
so
know.
let's talk about that.
I have to keep reminding myself it's a character. It's not real.
Well, yeah, that's true, but I mean, you do invest a certain amount of yourself into it, because wrestling's slightly different than, you know, the typical sitcom, because, you know, that line gets blurred a lot, and oftentimes you're not regarded as so and so playing the part of Lotus. People would just look at you and say, "Hey, that's Lotus."
Right, and you're also bringing yourself into that character on top of it, whether it's a made-up character or not. Yeah, I was frustrated with the character from the beginning. No, actually, not from the beginning. I saw a lot of potential in the character and the tag team partnership.
Okay.
From the beginning, but the storyline had to flow a certain way, and because of that way, I was frustrated. Because the storyline was to be where we keep losing, and then we finally win at the end. So we have to keep losing, and we got canceled. So we never got to win. And do you understand where I'm coming from? So
Yes.
I was really frustrated, and that only confirmed the stereotype of Asians and Asian Americans in society as a whole. Like, you know, we're not confrontational. We're like, if there's going to be physical confrontation, we're going to. It just frustrated me because I am like I am so fiery. I'm like a little spitfire. I know that's Jade's character, but I'm probably I'm like 10 times more aggressive than she is, and probably more than the rest of. Wow, it just infuriated me because I'm just sitting there in my character, smiling, nodding, but I'm just, you know, fuming. It just seems like every TV or movie at that time, I'm watching Asian characters, and we're just like, oh, it's so funny, thank you. Oh, you know what I'm saying? We're the passive, and that just pisses me off because I am the furthest thing from that, and it just infuriates me.
And I guess with them pitching this, saying, "Hey, you know, we're gonna have this long term." I mean, I don't know how they pitch it, but I'm assuming that they say we got this long term storyline, and you guys are going to lose and lose and lose and lose and lose, and then you
Yeah.
finally get one in the end. But now my question is, because I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, and I'm imagining somebody coming and say, okay, Brian, we're gonna do this 12-week story, and you're gonna lose 11 of those, and then you're gonna win. And my first question on my mind is like, okay, where's this win gonna come from? Who is gonna first off, how after I've been beaten repeatedly, how am I gonna suddenly turn around and get a win? And secondly, who's gonna buy that after this point?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Did you know, out of all the WoW girls, everyone at least won one match.
Yes.
One match, everybody won. Even cheating, they won.
Yes.
I'm the only person in WoW that did not win one match. So I'm still mad, and one day I want to get back in that ring and I want to kick somebody's freaking ass. I'm pissed. Even Jay's won the one match without me.
Yeah, she went back and won one. I did see that.
Honestly, this is personal. Everyone in WoW won a match, even by cheating. I'm the only one in freaking WoW that did not win one match. Even Jade won a match, and I didn't. And I am like, I can't wait till I'm 60 years old and go in there and kick somebody's ass. I'm so pissed. No, I'm like that. Like, pisses me off.
Well, I can understand that, but okay. So did they give you? I know we never saw it. I know it never happened. But did they say, okay, hey, when you win, it's going to be under these circumstances with this story against this person? Did they give you anything other than you'll win eventually?
Nope. We were canceled by then, and if there was a storyline, it was all around Jade.
Okay. Well, okay.
Jade.
Now that's the other thing. I did see that. Now, in doing the research that, preparing for talking to you and whatnot, I went back and watched the Asian Invasion, the Lotus matches and the Asian Invasion matches. Now, the one thing that I did come away with, and you just brought it up, is a lot of that storyline was centered on your partner. It was Jade's grandma's coming here, and she's sitting in the front row trying to give her inspiration, this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. And you didn't really hear a lot about that as it related to the Lotus character. What was the deal there? Why did they...
Yeah. Because that was the whole point. I was supposed to be skinny, and I was supposed to turn on Jade, and I was supposed to turn into a heel and resume my original Dragonfly role.
Okay.
But I'm not supposed to be called Dragonfly. So yes, the tide was gonna turn, and I was supposed to resume my role and get frustrated and turn into a heel. That was the storyline.
Okay.
But it never made it that way. It was canceled.
Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, I want vengeance. I don't care if I'm 60 years old. Set it up. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna beat them up, scratch eyeballs, pull hair.
Oh, you don't want to do that, do you? You don't want to scratch eyeballs and pull hair.
Yeah, I don't want to pull hair, but I do want to grab a bat and maybe smack someone in the head.
Now, I do want to say for those that are listening and are curious about your exploits in the ring, I know technically I'm not supposed to endorse WoW outside of the WoW website and whatnot, but I don't work for the company, so I can say what I want. You can go and find all these episodes of WoW, and every match it does exist. All you gotta do is just punch it into YouTube. It will pop up. I'm not going to mention the guy's channel because I don't want it to get pulled down or anything like that, but you can find it if you look hard enough. I'll put it that way. So let's go off into the pay-per-view, because I've asked every WoW girl that I've talked to their feelings on why they thought the pay-per-view didn't do as well as it should have, and why the WoW got pulled off of the air. And I've gotten a couple of different answers, and I'm interested in hearing what your interpretation of that is.
Okay. Well, this is what I've known. I don't know. It could be similar to the other girl stories, but there's a few reasoning behind that. Pay-per-view was right before 9/11. So what came up in the summer, pay-per-view was like what, February, and then it got canceled. Yes. And then it never got renewed, and then 9/11 showed up, so that even delayed it. So that was the time frame. As far as pay-per-view, at that time, I was told that it was too premature, number one. We didn't have enough following, and then pay-per-view showed up.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Okay.
So they should have waited and hold off until people got engaged into the storyline, right? That's
agree.
One reason. Number two is whatchamacallit? Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. Obviously, two is 9/11. Whether it was successful or not, it could not continue because 9/11 studio was shot. David pulled out and was focused on something else. I think like hockey, polo, or whatever he was into back then.
Mm-hmm.
And number three, another failure of the pay-per-view was David McLean was very adamant about targeting the 18 to 35-year-old age range.
Okay.
And he wanted to be but he was promoting. It's kind of like contradictory. He was targeting 18 to 35, but he was also targeting to kids. So it's kind of like a catch-22. So is it going to be sexy, wild, and hot, or Mickey Mouse? Mickey Mouse, whatever. So it's kind of contradictory in that way. So so he's like targeting both. Both. What I'm like trying about blank because my dog is barking.
Okay, so targeting both demographics, aiming,
demographics. Thank you.
Keeping the highly colorful characters for kids, and yet at the same time, I'm going to aim for 18 to 35 male and run this bikini contest throughout the pay-per-view.
Half is not going to like it. Half of the people are going to be like, what the hell is this? It's so Mickey Mouse. And the other half is going to be like, the parents are going to be like, what are you showing to my kid? So it's like a contradiction. So the reason why it also failed was because I heard it was gory in pay-per-view with the Selena Majors episode with the blade, with the blood and gore going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that turned off the child demographic, the under 18 demographic.
Okay. Yeah, she was a bloody mess at the end of that.
Yeah, it was walking contradiction. What are you going to cater to? Are you going to cater to Mickey Mouse or adults? Horny adults, 18 to 35. But the thing, the whole blade cutting and bleeding didn't even fit into both. So we lost all. We lost the kids and the parents, and we lost the 18 to 35 who wanted hot chicks, oil wrestling and pulling hair barefoot with thongs into gore. So it's like, what are we doing? It's like we have three different following that we couldn't cater to all at once. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sounds to me as if, to summarize, like, I was trying to serve too many masters. Like, hey, I want to serve the master of getting kids in here with the colorful girls and outfits and the pretty tame storylines that they could digest, but at the same time, we got girls, so let's have them in. Let's get this bikini contest going and get the 18 to 35 guys, and then I want to get the hardcore wrestlers too, or hardcore wrestling fans.
Exactly.
So let's get some blood. So,
exactly. So everyone's going to be disappointed. You're serving three masters. It's like, I don't like this, I don't like that. Like, all right, like I'm trying to make all of y'all happy, but nobody's happy because no one gets the best of anything. Does that make sense?
It does, and that's another element to that story that I had not heard. The whole thing about the pay-per-view coming too fast because again, and I'm gonna put a quick plug in for a past interview. I talked with Vanya, Jacqueline Hyde, and when we spoke about the pay-per-view deal, she kind of helped me structure the timeline of when she was hired, when the Wild went on the air, to when the pay-per-view happened. And when she was saying it to me, I was like, well, wait a minute. The only way that pay-per-view could have come at that point is if they planned to do that before Wild even started up. I was like,
yeah, it was too premature. There was no following. There's no following. Why are you doing pay-per-view so early? There's no following.
and the only reasoning I could come up with at that point is that wrestling was still relatively hot. And maybe somebody thought that, hey, as long as there's wrestling in the title, somebody will buy it. But that proved to be different. I mean, I did see what was the alleged pay-per-view buy rate, which wasn't exceptionally high. So I can only assume that operated in the red in total. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, so you got my perspective.
So, well, again, you added a different layer onto that because the idea that WoW was serving one too many masters is an interesting thought because I hadn't really put it together. Like, yeah, that is a very interesting point. I'd always looked at WoW as being, somewhat for the kids, but when you bring up, I hadn't thought about the
No,
Venus
it's
swimsuit
not for the
competition.
kids. Kids don't have money. They don't spend money. It's 18 to 35-year-olds that spend money. Come on.
Well, there you go. And that like I said, that swimsuit competition that ran throughout the whole deal, and then the blood at
Yeah,
the end of the pay per view.
and
So
those wanting men want to see dyke chicks cutting each other with razors.
well, that was yet another shade or a piece of the curtain that Bronco pulled back. So, but,
Yeah, so she said that too.
well, yeah,
That's what she's my girl. I love her.
yeah, Bronco didn't seem all that entirely pleased with Selena at the time, but I won't go into that. I really,
Oh no, no, it has
well,
nothing
no,
to do
no,
with Selena.
no, I don't. I
It has
don't mean
nothing to
that. I
do with
mean,
her. It's more than her.
she did bring up her sexuality. I'll put that out because I really hadn't given it thought. But yeah, she kind of threw that out there at me. I was like, oh, okay, well, I wasn't aware of that, but all right.
Well, as long as I'm not the only one, it was very obvious. But her sexuality really had nothing to do with it.
Oh yeah, not. I don't
Just
think that would
saying.
have anything to do with it being canceled. I don't. Yeah, that wouldn't have any play in that.
If anything, her sexuality should sell more to the 18 to 35.
If that's what they were
Maybe a
looking for, it
different
should.
look, but
I guess it would depend on the circumstances, but that wasn't going to happen on Wild TV. I know that.
so Bronco said that too, huh? That's really smart. I like Bronco. She knows what's up.
Yeah, Bronco was she was an entertaining young lady.
Oh, she knows what's up. Yeah, there was a lot of drama about that. But yeah, Bronco knows what's up. That's why I love her.
Well, she did put out some issues of drama that took place behind the scenes. Again, she pulled the curtain back, and anybody that wants to hear that story, you're going to have to go into the Bronco Billy interview that we'd had about 2 weeks ago, and you can hear Lisa Danielle go into detail about what she thought, why she has not made any returns there. She kind of puts that into perspective, or at least her perspective, and I'll leave it at that. So, in any case, following the pay per view, the show probably ran another 2 weeks, and then it was pulled, and I'm sure that the pay per view had some play into why that was off. But wow, after its 15-year hiatus, came back. Were you contacted in any regard as to coming back to the show? Because a lot of the original cast hasn't come back. I've only seen like 5 or 6.
Yes, at the time I lived in Southern California, and I was one of the girls that was contacted to come back. And at that time, I was in mortgage and real estate, and I just could not commit to WoW because I made more money. WoW didn't pay. WoW just didn't pay for my time. I was making so much money in mortgage and real estate, and I just couldn't focus on that. Well, and right now I have major chronic neck and back issues. So maybe I will one day, only because I never won a match in a while, and I need to. But right now I had in the past 4 years I couldn't wrestle because actually the past 5 years I couldn't wrestle because I got married. I got pregnant. I had a 10-pound baby, and I'm raising my kid. Yes, I'm raising my kid. He's 3.5, and I have chronic neck and back issues, so I can't wrestle. But yes, I was one of the girls that got invited back and asked back. But at that time when I lived in LA, they weren't paying for me to show up and wrestle, and I don't need to be a snob or anything, but I just could not take time off and show up and go to LA from Orange County every day and practice. So I'm saying, like, I had to work and I had to make money. I was doing mortgage and real estate. I'm not going to drive 60 miles round trip every other day to practice to make $200-300 a day before it's aired. You know what I'm saying? When I could make that in a day sitting on my ass in the office not doing anything. So.
Well, no, all of that makes sense, and again, having talked to a number of you at this time, from this point out, and I certainly don't want to make it sound as if there was no money in the WoW, but I get the impression, or at least I was told, that in some instances it wasn't comparable money to the situations that certain individuals were in, if that makes sense. I know Riot said something to the effect that most of the girls that she knew had jobs while they were doing WoW, and so now you're talking about going back into the updated version of it, where clearly the money is going behind production, and taking care of catering and the backstage and this, that, and the building rental and what have you, but it's not enough for, say, hey, I can drop everything that I'm going to do and I'm going to focus on this.
Exactly. That's exactly. It's like I just could not drop my job to do that, not even part-time. Like, if I lived in LA, yeah, but I lived in Orange County. Round trip is 60 miles, 30 miles there, 30 miles back. And I worked like 60 hours a day in mortgage or real estate. It was not financially feasible for me. I made more money in real estate.
And hey, it's one thing to do that when you just get started out in life, but when you're a responsible adult, sometimes money makes the difference. So yeah, I get it.
Well, it's not even that. It's not even that. Because of wrestling, I have chronic neck and back issues. It's not even about making money. It's like, I'm afraid I'm going to jack myself up even more. Because you got to understand, all the small girls in WoW, we're the ones who got, like, we were the rag dolls. We're the ones who did more stunt work than all the big girls. Because the big girls gave moves. We're the ones who took the moves. So they got all the glory, and we got all the abuse. So here I am being a rag doll getting abused, and everyone else is getting all like, oh my God, you're so strong. You're so amazing. You're so strong. No, I'm the one that made you look good, and my neck and back is fucked up. You know?
Yeah, I saw you a couple of occasions, and I brought it up to somebody else. Like, man, she took a hell of a bump flying out of this ring. Uh, Certainly, these aren't bumps that weren't necessary, but man, you it's like you went out your way to try to make whoever it
I
was at the
really
time
did.
look good. And I point to a particular match because and it's fresh in my mind because of an interview, is the Asian Invasion versus Cage Heat. At the end, it's like you went out to the ring twice. You flew over one side, came back in, you flew over the other side. And I think your head and neck caught the bottom rope on the roll down. So I mean, it was a nasty
Yep,
bump. And I know
it was.
there are some wrestling fans out there that don't necessarily understand because it wasn't a high spot, as we like to call it, or you weren't doing a triple Lindy moonsault, or whatever the case may be. But wrestling is dangerous. I mean, I don't know what kind of ropes you guys had, whether it's actually rope or cable or whatnot. But when you go over, you typically don't want your head and neck to catch onto the bottom and cause additional whiplash onto the impact
Yep,
that you're going when you're hitting the ground.
yep. I have permanent neck and back injuries on top of that, and I spent all the money I made in wrestling and doing appearances. I spent on chiropractor and therapy.
Mm. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. Um, I have to ask, um, just about the booking of the pay per view. Now we talked about the success and or lack thereof of the Wild Unleashed pay per view, but in the pay per view, one of the things that I kind of noticed in going back through it is like, what was it? It was about 13 different matches, but of those 13 matches, maybe 4 or 5 had some sort of storyline behind it. Was and It was the Asian Invasion versus Boom Boom and Caliente. Now when they booked this, was somebody just backstage saying, "Okay, we got to get everybody into a match. I don't care what they're doing. They just got to
I
go
know
into."
honestly, there was a storyline behind that.
It
I
was.
know. It's like, there was none. It's like, what? What? Why are two baby faces fighting each other out of the blue from
Yeah.
different continents? Ah,
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, okay, because I thought Boom Boom Caliente were two baby faces. The Asian Invasion were two baby faces. So, and the tag team tournament was over. So, what was the purpose of the match? It's like it just came up. It was no rhyme or reason behind it. It was just like, hey, let's just have a match.
it was so random. Oh, it was just like, there was no storyline. It was random, and maybe they had a future storyline. I don't know, but so random prior to the future storyline.
So they didn't explain it to any of you guys, like to the ones of you that had random matches kind of pop up. They didn't say, okay, this is where we're going. It just happened.
No, I was just happy because I love Caliente and Boom Boom.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play with my friends. Cool. Yeah. I was happy.
Okay. Well, that works. At least he had something out of it. Um,
Right. Like, they're my friends. So I'm like, cool.
now, real quick, you also did 2 other shows of similar uh, style than WoW, WrestleLicious, and Crush. If you Was there any major difference to you between the promotions? Like, if you had to tell somebody, okay, WoW is this, WrestleLicious is this, and Crush is that, could you do it, or are they all essentially the same flavor, different name?
Oh, not at all. All of them were different. Wow, it is classic. It was legit.
Hmm.
After that was WrestleLicious, which was kind of like a knockoff, and Crush was a knockoff. Nothing compares to WoW. WoW is a classic and legit.
Okay, so when you're looking back and you want to tell somebody, hey, I want to show you pieces of my wrestling career. Wow is the thing that you would pull up.
Oh yeah, WrestleLicious and Crush would be like, oh, it just so happens these are the handful of girls that made it to WrestleLicious and Crush from WoW. But WoW is a classic. It's part of Glow. I'll always remember WoW. WoW will always have a special place in my heart.
Well, I mean, clearly that must be the case that it is a classic because most people will remember it. And WrestleLicious you can find. Crush, I'm not even sure if you can locate. I tried looking for it. I was like, I don't see any of this.
Yeah, they're just a knockoff version of WoW. I mean, I had fun with them, but
But
it's just
but they basically
WoW was
followed. They were cookie
special.
cutter. That they just
Like
okay.
WoW was so special. WoW to me, WoW was more special than Glow. To me, Glow was cheesy, and WoW, like the new WoW, is cheesy too. But the original WoW, he just nailed it at the perfect timing. Like, to me, when I grew up watching Glow, I loved it, but to me it was cheesy. But WoW was, like, awesome. It was modernized, contemporary, it was cool. And the new WoW, I saw it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's cheesy.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that happens. But
You're laughing because you know it's true.
well, I've looked at some of them, and I've been public about the things that I like and I haven't. I've reviewed it. Now, some of the things on there I did enjoy. I want to give credit where credit is due, but there were a couple of things I didn't necessarily agree with. I think they've done better in the last time because I think this is their third time coming off a hiatus and trying it again. So like they take
Yeah, but you know what? Like, when you always, it's like watching Three's Company. Like, Three's Company's like my favorite sitcom in the whole world. And then as soon as you replace Chrissy Snow or Priscilla Barnes and, whatever that ditz is, it's just, I don't know.
It was another one that I thought that was her sister, the other one.
The cousin, yeah. Like, once you replace the original cast, it's just never the same.
Well, that's true. It's not. They were just looking to keep it going.
Yeah, and it's just not the same.
And they managed to keep it going for a while, but, hey.
Yeah, but I don't even watch it. When I watch it, I'm like, it's cheesy. It's just nothing for me.
Well, I'll tell you, while I have you, I have to take you down memory lane here because I did go through, like I said, your appearances or Lotus's appearances on the WoW show, and I've narrowed it down to the episodes and who you were taking on and what was happening, and if you got anything that pops up in your head as I go through this description, just fire it at me. You good? That sound good?
Okay.
Okay, so the first appearance of Lotus happens in episode 1. Now, we talk about the matches here, not any backstage vignettes or anything like that. So, episode 1, it took place, Lotus was in the Battle Royal for the WoW Championship. That was in the main event, and I think that's the one and only main event that Lotus was in, and officially was the first person out of the ring. You have any memories of that Battle Royal?
Yes, I do. It sucked. It's racism.
Well,
it's racism at its finest.
I wasn't going to bring that up. I was going to ask you, why was it that Lotus was the first person out of this ring? Did they structure that way?
I don't know. I was pissed off about that. Selena Majors told us on the order to leave. I'm like, whatever, Georgia Peach.
Okay, Okay, so I guess we'll put Selena on the blame for that one. And like, you're going out first. So yeah.
Whatever. I don't think she likes Asians.
Well,
She likes Jade. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't like Korean. She likes Jade.
she probably likes you. She just didn't know how to book you. She didn't know how to book Lotus. I'm gonna put it on that.
No, no,
I'm
she
trying to give it the benefit of
I
the
don't
doubt.
know. Whatever. I don't even care. I'm glad I was out. I didn't want to ruin my makeup anyways.
You're in rare form tonight.
Okay.
So they have it. The battle royal happens. It goes. The next time we see Lotus would be some 4 episodes later on episode 5, when it's Riot versus Lotus. When Riot wins with the power bomb, Jade comes in after the match to help her out, but she catches 2 power bombs. So I left looking at this match thinking, why did the Asian Invasion tag team debut in a singles match?
I'm sorry. What? Why? What?
Why did the Asian Invasion tag team debut in a singles match? Because this is the first time that we see the Asian Invasion. It's episode 5, and it starts with just Lotus versus Riot. So the tag team is
Because
there.
they're racist. Because they're racist. Because one Asian cannot fight one Caucasian, so they need to bring 2. And we still lost.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jade went in there and she got beat up. She got caught 2 power bombs for it.
Oh yeah, that's why my neck is jacked forever. Yes, I
And
remember that. I still feel it now.
Oh well, I don't want to bring up the pain now. I'm sorry. So the first time we see you guys as a tag team, that's episode 5 of WoW, and that's the Asian Invasion versus, I guess, what would be considered the premier tag team of WoW, Cage Heat. This is the first round of the tag team tournament. Of course, Cage Heat wins that and advances on. But there's a spot in the match where Lotus says you moved ahead of time and not wanting to take the leg drop off of the top rope from Dealt a Lot of Pain. Do you recall that?
No, I don't, but I hope they get deported.
Well, that is what she said in the interview that I had with her. She's saying that spot that she has where Delta goes to the top rope and does that little somersault leg drop, you move out of the way. She said that Lotus move, it wasn't planned. Like she was supposed to take it, but you didn't want to, and you got out of the way. That is the story that
Oh,
was.
hell no. No. Everything's choreographed, so I'm trying to move to be I was told to.
Okay.
But I ain't gonna let. No, I don't want her thunder thighs to land on my neck.
So you do agree that you didn't want to.
I don't want her thunder thighs to land on my neck. Okay.
Okay. I got you. And this is the match that we were talking about earlier, where you took like 3 nasty bumps in there. They flew out over the top rope on one side, and I think it was top rope, and you might have caught a little bit of the rope on the way down, and then you came back in, took capital punishment from them. They probably took care of you on that, and then I think Loca puts you out on the other side of the ring, where you took the big header out over the top rope and caught your neck on the way down. So I mean, that match, if anything, put a hurting on your body. That match probably did it.
Probably something like that. All I know is I'm tore up from the flow up. That's all I know. True story.
I see. Episode 11. I know this is probably not going to sit well. Slam Dunk versus both members of the Asian Invasion. It's a handicap match. Slam Dunk wins the handicap match with a double choke slam. This match only essentially is there to put Slam Dunk over as the monster of WoW, and Asian Invasion were the 2 that they served up to do it. Any memories of this match at all?
Yes, yes. Like, my nose still hurts from that. She better pay for my new nose job. Yeah, I remember that clearly. Yeah, my face and my whole face and my nose was sore.
So how did they even pitch this to you in the backstage? Like, hey, we got a great thing that's going to happen here. The both of you are going to get beat up by one person in our one and only
Yeah.
handicap match that we're ever going to have.
No, it didn't bother me because I honestly, like, I really thought I was a great seller.
You were.
Like, I really felt like I could really exaggerate the pain they're inflicting on me. And I'm so good at it. It's so natural. And the only reason why I'm so good at it is because I love inflicting pain on others.
Well, then you should have turned heel.
I know, right? Exactly. It's natural, but, like, honestly, like, to me it was a performance, and it was my pleasure to make the best of it. Like, at that moment, like, I didn't even care. I didn't even feel pain until after. Like, I just wanted to be the best performer, and I wanted to make it look so real. I didn't care what kind of pain I went through. And I didn't even feel pain until the next day.
That was that adrenaline pumping. You was
Yeah.
drunk and ready to go.
I did not even care. It was all about, I wanted to make it real and so painful that people felt like, ouch, that hurt.
Well,
It really did, but I wanted them to feel my pain too. You know what I mean?
yeah, so you just exaggerated a tad to sell it that much more. So yeah, you did your job. You guys put Slam Dunk over, and like I said, the only purpose that match served was basically to get her over as the monster of WoW. Like, I am the biggest, the baddest, or whatever the heck. So moving down, the next time is the Asian. Well, I can't even say the Age of Asian. It was It was Lotus, episode 17, taking on Jungle Girl, and of course this match.
Oh my god, I thought she was gonna pop my implant. Honestly, I thought like my silicones were gonna leak through my body. Like, that scared the shit out of me. Even during practice, I was so scared because anything could happen. One slight off move, and my implants are out on my face is. Dude, that was so scary. Because I was laying down on her back, and she just, like, got on the ladder and landed on me. And that was so freaking scary. Because anything could happen. And I have silicone implants. It would have exploded. My nose, everything, like, dude, that was scary. That was so scary. Honestly, that was scary.
Well, that's one of the parts of being a wrestler that I guess doesn't get talked about a lot is the is it now factor. It's like I have to lay here on the mat and just kind of wait for, for the impact to come down.
Oh god, it's so scary. It's like even during practice when that happened, like I would mess up and I would move because I'm so scared. She might land on me wrong, right? I'm like freaked out. Even if I close my eyes. Everything could happen. I don't trust her. What if she slips? I'm fucked, right?
Yeah.
And even during practice, I'm laying there. Like, I can't. Do you know how hard it is to just lay there straight without moving? Because it's so hard. You have no idea. Try doing that with a pretty face and silicone breast implants. Good luck.
Well, I know that if nothing else, your natural instinct is to just want to get out of the way. So yeah, I can see that. But of course, the result here is not a big surprise. Jungle Girl goes over when she wins with a top rope splash. This match is filler. This is just there to kind of set up Jungle Girl versus Becky the Farmer's Daughter, who comes out directly after the match is over with. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on that Lotus is basically there to sell for. You're helping make the other girls, seemingly.
Yeah,
That
my job was to freaking make everyone else look good. I swear to God, I want my time. I want to be in the match, and I want to beat people up with a freaking bat. I want my time. Where's my vengeance? Where's my time? Right?
Yeah. So we can skip the pay-per-view because we talked about the random match that got tossed together. We know Boom Boom and Caliente won. That's pay-per-view land. But then after the pay-per-view, which I now understand, these matches were taped preceding the pay-per-view, so it didn't make any difference. Harley's Angels versus the Asian Invasion, which, surprise, surprise.
Oh, I love them. They're like my favorite tag team. I love Harley's Angels.
Harley's Angels, why were they your favorite tag team? They were just fun to get in the ring with, or?
They're hilarious. They're just so funny. Harley's Angels and KG are my favorite tag teams. But I don't like KG anymore because they unfriended me on Facebook because of my political views, so fuck them.
Okay. Well, we won't go into the political tirades today. I'm sorry that y'all have had a falling out over politics. That's not good. That's why we have no religion, no politics in wrestling. We just have wrestling.
Well, there's someone who unfriended me, so fuck them.
I
love Harley's Angels. They're cool.
Harley's Angels, okay. So you still down with Harley's Angels?
I love them.
So Harley's Angels, they win with a double DDT, popping Jade, and then they hit Lotus with a double DDT too, although the production team seemingly didn't catch that because they went off to a replay just as they was hooking your head in for it. So it's assumed that Lotus got hit with a double DDT. This is easily the most competitive outing that the Invasion had up until this point. It's about the only time that we really saw the Invasion kind of fight back without being squashed entirely. So maybe it was ramping up towards the Asian Invasion getting to a point where they could score a win. I don't know. But do you remember this being any different when y'all were wrestling, that Harley's Angel actually gave y'all some offense in the match?
Nope.
Nope, you don't remember any of that? Okay. You have to go back and watch.
Nope. Oh, yeah. A little, because I got to do more moves on them.
Yeah, I was gonna say you tossed in a nice kick on the side of somebody's head or something like that.
I did a cartwheel, round off, and elbow, and yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, and all I remember is Easy Rider, like riding on my neck, like Harley, on the corner of the.
Yeah, that Bronco Buster on you.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the last appearance that you had, as far as WoW, was against Farrah, the Persian Princess in Paradise. The Asian Invasion took them on, and Farrah and Paradise win after a double Persian leg sweep. You recall them, or do you recall Paradise or Farrah or the match at all, or anything that you have there as relates to the ending of WoW?
Oh yeah, I remember Paradise. Farrah, the Persian Princess.
Yes.
I don't even know why they brought that character up. Nobody likes that character. Nobody likes Middle Eastern characters. I don't know why they even brought it up.
Well, is that her background? Now, okay, weren't they picking characters based on where you're from, your personal background, and stuff like that?
Yes. Yes, it was contradictory, and they discouraged her. her from using certain moves and certain whatever, especially after 9/11.
Oh, okay. So even though she was labeled a Persian princess, they downplayed her background.
I don't know. That's a lame character to begin with. I wish they would just deal with it. To be honest.
With Farrah, well, I mean, there is no Farrah now. There's nothing related to it at all.
Yeah, that character is just stupid to begin with. I don't even know why they even brought it up, because it's so politically controversial to begin with.
Well, did you say that? I can't remember the writer's name. What'd you say his name was?
Steve Blanche.
Okay, Blanche. Now, wasn't he responsible for some of that? Maybe he just pulled it up because that's what he knew. I mean, you said that he was kind of, I don't want to say lost in the 80s, but
Yeah,
does
they
that make
did
sense?
pull back a lot. They already did.
Okay.
They pulled back a lot with her character because of 9/11.
Okay. Because I was going to say, I mean, the only thing that I wouldn't dare, of course, clearly, but the only thing that I can really think of in regards to that is that at one point in time, that kind of nationalist character was the thing to do in wrestling. You had your Iron Sheiks and your Russian Nightmares, and things of that nature, where you just played off of the country. And but Farrah was, I don't recall her ever running around saying I hate America. So I mean, I don't know what the point of it was, other than to say that she was from another country.
No, she wasn't a rebel. She was fairer than Persian princess. So why would she hate anything?
No, that's what I mean. That's like I don't. I'm just making that comparative to where those kind of characters kind of stemmed from.
Yeah, it was a sore subject because right after that was 9/11. So her character was very limited. That's why it disappeared.
Mm. Well, she got her last look on the show. She, like I said, she was wrapped up in this match with the invasion in Paradise. So you guys had another all babyface match here. I mean, it's almost like he was just running out of opponents.
Yeah, they just wanted a bunch of cute girls attacking each other.
Well, that's what they got. So 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 there you have it. That was the last match that the Asian Invasion appeared in, and we closed the book on it. We've already answered the question why you didn't go back. You said uh, your body.
They don't pay.
And
They
they
don't
don't
pay
pay.
enough.
And they're not paying
No,
what you
they
need.
don't pay enough to jack up my body. See ya.
So normally I would say they got to pay like you weigh, but you probably want a little bit more than that. So you know got to get some
Yeah,
good money in there.
they don't pay. They just didn't pay me. They just don't pay enough
Hmm.
to jack up my body, and my body's already jacked. But I would love to come back and win a match because I'm the only chick that never won a match. Like, I would do it if I were, like, to promote it or be a valet or a manager.
Hmm.
Or if I could win a match. Because I'm the only one that didn't win a match, so I'm due a match. But other than that, it's not worth jacking up my body. My body hurts.
Okay, well here's something for you. Now, generally speaking, when I do these interviews, I have a little segment that I like to call fantasy booking. And I asked the interviewee to pitch me the story that they would like to have for their career. In your case, you're saying that you want that one match. So, under what circumstances? Let's just assume that Wild comes out of the blue and say, "Hey, we're going to give you $1,500 for the day to come here and do a TV taping." I'm assuming that's fair money. Okay, so if that were the case, and you go back in, what story would you pitch them to say, okay, this is what I want Lotus to do?
Yeah, this is okay. Oh my God, I'm so happy you asked me this. If Lotus was to come back,
Mhm.
she would come with a vengeance because she's pissed off. She's tired of being the spiritual, stereotypical Asian, oh, so sorry, thank you character, okay?
Mhm.
She's going to come back with a vengeance and basically come back with a bat and beat everyone's head off that even talks back to her or even looks at her funny because she's just frustrated. She just had enough. But in particularly, the people that she wants to beat the fuck out of is her tag team partner for making her lose. I would hope she would turn on her partner and say, shut the fuck up with your stupid Jade that did nothing. You're believing in the wrong god. Bash her stupid Jade. Beat her up. Hit up KG, the felons, deport their ass back to their countries, and say, make America great again. And who else did I fight? Jungle Girl? I'm cool with Jungle Girl. She can kick my ass all she wants. I like Jungle Girl. I would like to tag team with Boom Boom, the Hawaiian, whatchamacallit. I like Jungle Girl. I just want to come back with a vengeance, basically, and I just want to kick everybody's ass that I had to be a jobber for. That's all. It's my time and my glory. I got my ass kicked and my neck and back jacked up to make them look good. Now it's their time to make me look good.
All right. Well, perhaps David McClain will cough up some extra dough and get you in there. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want you to go in and risk further injury, uh, for whatever payday it's done, because we don't want you crippled or walking around, rolling around in a wheelchair, nothing like that. However, if you were going to do it, I think I would book a nice, safe way to get Lotus her victory, so she doesn't go down in the history of WoW as the only person never to win a WoW match. I would just have you go back, start off with the same rigmarole that you just said. I'm tired. I didn't get the chance to win. Y'all make me sick, and blah blah blah. You go heal, but you go heal as a manager, and then you have somebody that represents you. Take on a match and have them get beat up. We'll just say the Beast, because that's the biggest, baddest chick that they got in there right now. And take that into a handicap match. So that way, after all the heavy lifting's done by the partner, you can tag yourself in, go in there, cover it up. 1, 2, 3. Lotus gets her win without having to do any work or hurt herself. Bing, bang, boom. History has changed, and all is right with the world.
Yes, I want to tag team with Cherry Gold and Bronco Billy and me. And I want to fight against my own partner, Jade and KG, and deport their ass and say, make America great again. Namaste.
Okay, now I will reiterate. I will not touch any political stances on the show. I will leave it at that.
I don't know. No, I want to make it political because KG unfriended me on my own Facebook because of my political views. That's why I have animosity towards them. I don't like Delta a lot of pain, and I don't like Luca because they unfriended me because I'm pro-Trump. So they can kiss my yellow ass.
Well, I don't know if either one of them will hear this particular interview or not.
Well, I hope they do because they can kiss my yellow ass. I hope they do.
Woof.
They unfriended because of my political views, so they can suck Chuck for a buck. I could care less.
Well, it's been some heat going on there, and I don't mean the cage
Yeah,
kind.
they're rude. Yeah, I like when they post political stuff. I never said anything, but when I post political stuff, they don't like it, and I'm like, so fuck them.
Well, like I say, we have learned quite a bit today.
Ring. Yeah.
Hmm?
We should take it to the real ring.
Oh well, y'all don't have to get into the real ring now. You can keep it inside of the WoW, and I don't know if y'all need to be in the same building at this point. Sound like it's beyond the sisterhood, which was WoW at this point.
Well, yeah, their ass could get deported. But anyways, I can care less. I thought they were rude for unfilming me, so whatever. I don't care.
Well, I am sorry to hear that. But bringing this back around to wrestling, the final question before we wrap it up. Having done WoW, having done WrestleLicious, having done Crush, and with a number of wrestling promotions that have existed, in between that time, did it ever come to your attention that that you might wanted to go into another wrestling promotion outside of those three? Did you ever go into training for the indies, or were you ever approached by another promotion to say, hey, we'd like to bring you in, or anything like that? Or was it just, hey, once WoW ended, that was pretty much it?
Well, we were all under contract, and when it got canceled, and we were under the impression that it will come back. And so, like, none of us, like, solicited to other federations. I know a few of us wanted to go to WWE. One of us did, and she got blacklisted.
Somebody went to WWE and got blacklisted?
We're going to come back. Yeah, we were told that we can't go to other federations.
Okay.
And if we do, we can't come back. But one of us went to another federation.
Okay.
She never came back. She got injured.
Okay.
She got injured at that federation. Never came back.
Okay. Is there a name that you can get behind that? Or?
No, I don't want to. No.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that, yeah, we were approached. I was approached by WrestleLicious and Crush.
Okay.
And I went there. But I only went there because it was 5-6 years since WoW. So it's like, are you coming back or not? It's been 5-6 years, so. But he never pursued, and he didn't sue us or anything. I mean, it was like 5-6 years. Nothing happened with WoW. So a few of us went to WrestleLicious and Crush, and nothing happened there.
Okay, well, I guess that is the fate of those particular entities. Wrong place, wrong time, perhaps. But I mean, I guess maybe it'll come back. Well, I'm not gonna say maybe WrestleLicious. I know that somebody has tried. I'm not necessarily looking forward to that coming back around, but that's just me. So we'll leave it on this note that WoW has returned in some form or fashion. David McClain appears to be holding on to the dream of getting it back on air and back on TV. To some regard, is on his third or fourth hiatus at this point. They're just not nearly as long as what you had to deal with. It's not no 15-year hiatus, maybe 5 or 6 months at this point. So how he manages to hold on to a roster with 5 or 6 months in between rest periods is beyond me, but it's not my job to figure it out either. So that said, Lotus, thank you for coming onto the show and sharing all this information about your time and WoW and the history of wrestling, and kind of doing me a solid and peeling back the curtain of the things that have been going on the show over the years.
No problem. My pleasure.
It was wonderful having you on. And for everybody that's been tuning in to this interview, I want to thank you for taking the time out to listen to this. And you probably heard a lot more than what you ever expected to get out of this interview, because at the end here, Lotus just let it rip. So you got some. He just got you some extra juice out of that interview. But if you're gonna support this show and keep these podcasts going, be sure to go to WPNWrestling.com and visit our website. Go to WPN Wrestling on Instagram and Twitter. You can go Women's Pro Wrestling Network, all one word, on Facebook and YouTube. All of those sites and locations and platforms, we got all of our good stuff. If you hit one of those Amazon links, if I happen to have one in the description, click that if you're going to buy something, because it tosses a little kickback to the show. And of course the show needs it, because this stuff ain't cheap. So with that, thank you everybody again, for myself and for Lotus, and for WOW, I guess I'm going to give them a little shout out too, and the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. And until the next interview, so long everybody.
Ciao. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.